Well, I am so excited to introduce you to a young singer and songwriter from Boca Raton, Florida, who started a bully prevention assembly that has reached over 400 schools across the country. But first, I want to show you a very short video that depicts her work as both a musician and an activist.
I started to get teased when I was in kindergarten, and it went through about 4th grade. There was a lot of exclusion and ridicule.
Lizzie Sider joins us now to share her own story. Good morning.
Good morning, Abby.
So great to have you here.
Thank you for having me on.
You know, people look at you and they say she's beautiful, she's talented, she's living her dream. There's no way that she ever experienced bullying of her own, but this all comes from your own story, what you experienced.
It does. I was bullied in my elementary school years, and I would come home crying almost every single day, and it was a hard time for me. And it was the words of my dad in about 4th grade or so, nobody has the power to ruin your day. Now, as I've been touring around the country, I've realized that bullying happens in every school in some way, shape, or form. And I want to do what I can to help stop it and to help other kids learn how to deal with it. I decided to make what my dad said, that nobody has the power to ruin your day, become the theme of these school assemblies.
It's very important what Lizzie is doing now. Committed to a wonderful campaign to alert kids all over the country against bullying.
Lizzie Sider.
Students can relate to Lizzie. She's young, she speaks that language. Again, you know, they don't want to hear from me, they want to hear from Lizzie. I can see Lizzie being somebody that everybody knows in the future. This is just the beginning.
Her message about being excluded and not fitting in, it makes them feel like it's going to be okay for them.
It's really amazing for me to be here for some of these kids, because it breaks my heart to know that some of these kids might not have someone to go talk to. Nobody has the power to ruin your day. Thank you, bye.
So I just had a chance to meet her backstage, and I know for all of us who do assemblies at school, we need to show her some love for her work. So please, let's give her a round of applause and make some noise for Lizzie Sider.
Where do you want to sit?
Okay, so Lizzie, I'm just going to jump into this because you are our expert, and we have lots of educators and leaders today that really want to learn from you. So one of the things I want to ask you about is your passion for this. Why is it that you're so passionate about bully prevention?
Well, I know that the video kind of explained this, but when I was in elementary school, I was teased and bullied and excluded and ridiculed. And it was the funniest thing, because outside of school, I always felt that I was whole and I could be myself and I had the best parents and support system. But it was in school that I felt like I could not be myself. And I would, you know, come home feeling like I was worthless. And I realized that with those words of my dad, nobody has the power to ruin your day, it's so true. And it's not just for kids and for students in school. I think that it applies for adults and for people of all ages in work, in school, in sports. And I really wanted to share that with other kids, because I was lucky to adapt it as my mentality as a young student, and I want other kids to have the same opportunity.
Okay, so thanks for sharing that with us. And something I'm thinking about today, many of our members, they're on Twitter and Facebook, and what you're about to share with us are lessons that we can share with others. Now, I understand you've been very busy, and you have been going to over 400 schools across the country.
Yes.
So here's a question for you. Are there any common threads that you've seen across these schools that would apply to both schools related to bully prevention?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And that's the most amazing thing, Mila, is that I will go to these schools, and the first thing, and something that I want just to say because it makes me very happy, is the idea that kids are kids. And when kids are involved in something that is great for their community and that feels like it empowers them and it makes them a better person, they want to be involved. And that's been the most beautiful thing for me to see. But it's so interesting because a part of my live assembly is I go into these schools and I ask kids, why do you think people may bully? And keep in mind that I have been to schools of all demographics, races, cultures, religions, every area of our country, so many places. However, they're the same answers from these kids across the board. It's because they've been bullied before, because they feel jealous, because they feel like it makes them look cool or powerful. They're insecure, they want to get attention, because of problems at home. And I found that to be very impactful, that no matter where you go, it seems like the same answers.
So when we think about the strategy of how to prevent that, because it is a very real issue, and we know many people in this room have been bullied, many people have witnessed it or experienced it. So let's move to the advice stage. And how many school administrators and leaders do we have out here today? Just applause. Okay.
You guys are amazing.
She's about to give us some knowledge. So my question is, what advice would you have for these school administrators and leaders in terms of what they could do to help prevent bullying at the school level or in classrooms?
I think that something I've noticed, and it's kind of very simple, but I feel like often a lot of these kids feel like they're alone, that they're the only ones going through something. And that's not necessarily because they don't have the support system that they like. It's because they feel that maybe that, you know, they're the only ones going through bullying, or they're the only ones that have these problems in their personal lives. And I think just to keep the conversation open and to let your kids know and to let your parents know, it's really, I think, all about being on the same team. I think it's letting everybody know and letting everybody feel like we're all an equal part of the same team. And so opening that conversation and listening, I think, is so important for our kids to listen actively. And I remember when I was being bullied, you know, my parents, I'd come home, and of course they would give me advice, of course they'd help me, but they always listened thoroughly. And I think that that really helped me personally, and I think that that's what a lot of these kids look for.
So here's another big issue that we've talked about many times at ISTE, because oftentimes, sometimes with our tech coordinators, we're asked for advice on it. And what many of us didn't have, at least not me, the issues of social media while growing up. So we know that cyberbullying is a really big issue. So let's just think about what your recommendations would be for school faculty to help prevent cyberbullying.
And that's such a tough issue. I remember, you know, I experienced a little bit of cyberbullying, but cyberbullying and the internet really became popular when I was in about 5th grade. So it wasn't really there. It wasn't really my time yet. But I did experience some of it. And I know it's funny, I'm 19, I'm saying that wasn't my time. But I would say that it's really important to educate our children on how to use social media. My parents did such a great job telling me certain ways to use social media. That, you know, social media is amazing and it's great if it's used properly. We need to realize, and I think this is what our kids need to realize, that once we put something out there, it's out there forever. We have no way of taking it down. We have no way of knowing who's seen it. Also, that we put out a representation of ourselves. So if there's something that's maybe not flattering, or maybe something that we don't want to portray ourselves as, don't put that out on social media. And I think it's interesting because people who cyberbully feel like the social media is a good, you know, wall in front of them, and that it makes them anonymous. And I just think realizing and letting our kids know and stressing to them how hurtful that can be, and really educating them on the uses and abuses of social media, that common knowledge, and it's not that common. I think it can be expanded on, and it can be a conversation to be started.
Okay. So now the next question, I was wondering if you would do us a favor, and we would actually love to hear your song, Butterfly, that focuses on bully prevention. Would you mind singing for us?
Yes,
today?
I would love to.
Okay.
I would love to.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, this is the last day. I need you to help me out here. Come on, everyone, get your hands clapping together with me. I used to hide and keep inside, afraid to show the world who I was and live a life in black and white, wrapped up in a safe little space. It's only fear that kept me here, with dreams too big for the small place. They liked me deaf and dumb, had no idea what I'd become. But look at me now, finally coming out, and I'm wanting to fly. Gonna spread my wings, bright and colorful things that can take me up to touch the sky. They thought they knew me plain and shy, but all along I was a butterfly. These colors of mine are unique. I'm gonna be who I'm meant to be, and now I see it's all up to me. Look at me now, finally coming out, and I wanted to fly. Gonna spread my wings, bright and colorful things that can take me up to touch the sky. They thought they knew me plain and shy, but all along I was a butterfly. Oh yeah, yeah I am a butterfly. Oh yeah, yeah I am a butterfly. Yeah, I'm a butterfly.
Lizzie, what a powerful song. And I was back here trying to be a backup
Oh my
dancer.
God, you were
So I
great.
think I've knocked that off
I
my
think-
bucket
I
list
think
now,
you should come
dancing
on
the
tour with
stage.
me.
Oh, I don't think you want me on tour with you. I have to get
well,
some
we'll
work. But thank you so much, and we really
you.
appreciate having you today. So everybody, let's give it up for Lizzie Sider.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my love.